Have you ever tried to say no and still felt guilty? Or said yes, even knowing that inside you were abandoning yourself? You realize you're at your limit, but out of fear of disappointing others, you choose to overload yourself, even knowing you should have said no. Maybe there's a quiet pressure there. The idea that being good means not setting boundaries, that recognizing your own human limits is a sign of selfishness. For many people, the problem isn't a lack of courage. It's that we were never taught how to set boundaries consciously. We learned to be pleasing. We learned to avoid conflict. We learned not to disappoint. In Mark 1:37-38, when they tell Jesus, "Everyone is looking for you," he responds calmly, "Let us go somewhere else. That is why I have come." Jesus says no, without guilt, without harshness, without explanation. That no was not rejection. It was faithfulness to what was true inside him. Maybe that already touches something inside you. But we weren't taught to recognize our own limits without feeling wrong for doing so. When a boundary appears, something happens in the body. The chest tightens, breathing becomes shallow, the mind speeds up. This happens because the brain interprets limits as a threat to connection, and a quiet question arises. Am I being too harsh? Am I being selfish? Notice that now. Don't try to change anything, just observe. Maybe the problem isn't your courage, but what your body learned. When you think about saying no, a very old part of the brain activates. It's called the amygdala. The amygdala doesn't think, it protects. Its role is to detect danger before you even understand what's happening rationally. To it, saying no can mean rejection, conflict, loss of connection, abandonment. So the body reacts automatically. The heart races, the chest tightens, breathing shortens. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the body is trying to keep you belonging. If, at some point in life, love meant pleasing others, the amygdala learned that boundaries equal risk. That's why the body reacts before the mind decides. This isn't drama, it isn't weakness, it's emotional memory. That may explain why saying no feels so exhausting. Many people don't hurt themselves in big conflicts, they hurt themselves in small, repeated yeses. And it's fine when it isn't. And I'll handle it when they're already exhausted. A smile when the body is asking for rest. Over time, the mind builds a narrative. I'm the one who fixes things. I'm the one who holds it together. I'm the one who doesn't cause trouble. Psychologically, this is called functional self-abandonment. The person functions, delivers, sustains, but disconnects from themselves. The body notices before the mind. Constant tension, irritability with no clear cause, fatigue, no amount of rest resolves. Because the problem isn't physical, it's relational, with oneself, and that carries a silent cost. Deep exhaustion doesn't come only from too many tasks, it comes from too much inner incoherence. When you say yes externally and no internally, the brain receives conflicting signals. This creates neural confusion. The nervous system doesn't know, am I safe, or do I need to defend myself? So it chooses alert mode. That's why you feel tired even when resting. The body won't relax. The mind won't slow down. The body understands something simple. I can't be myself here, and living like that slowly makes you sick. This isn't selfishness. It isn't lack of love. It isn't lack of faith. It's learning. At some point in life, the body understood, to be loved, I need to adapt. Being clear might cost me connection. This wasn't a conscious choice. It was emotional survival. And here lies the most common confusion. Many people confused kindness with the absence of boundaries. But forced silence doesn't create peace. It creates fragmentation. On the outside, the person looks available. On the inside, they are exhausted. Jesus never taught love through self-abandonment. In Matthew 5:37, Jesus says, "Let your yes be yes and your no, no." This isn't moral rigidity, it's inner hygiene. When feeling, thought, and speech point in the same direction, the body relaxes. Jesus teaches integration, not confrontation. Science calls this internal coherence. When coherence exists, the parasympathetic nervous system activates, the part responsible for rest and recovery. Breathing slows, the heart stabilizes. You don't relax because someone else approved. You relax because you didn't abandon yourself. The Bible calls this truth. The body calls it safety. For a few seconds now, bring attention to your chest. Inhale through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. And say internally, I can be truthful and still be safe. This isn't positive thinking. It's neural training. Repetition creates new responses in the body. You may know someone like this. Or maybe it's you. Always available, always helpful, always tired. Until the day the body says, I can't anymore. Not out of rebellion, but because the weight of not setting boundaries became heavier than the fear of disappointing others. And something hurts even more. When you start saying no, some people pull away, not because you changed, but because some people liked what you offered, not who you are. Maturity is letting go of relationships sustained by self-abandonment and beginning to care for the mind, the body, and the heart. At some point, the question changes. It stops being, how do I say no without feeling guilty? And it becomes, why did I learn that I need to abandon myself in order to be loved? When that question appears, something reorganizes inside. It doesn't accuse. It doesn't expose. It simply puts things back in their proper place. And this is exactly where many people get lost, because they were never taught the next step. Few people realize this, but saying no is not a personality trait. It's not coldness. It's not harshness. Saying no is a relational skill that can be trained, and like any emotional skill, it needs to be learned safely, without inner violence and without hurting the other person. There are techniques used by professionals in psychology and conscious communication that help build boundaries with clarity, gentleness, and real presence. When learned calmly, they teach the body that it's possible to be truthful without losing connection. The first one begins very simply. Technique 1. Boundary with self-recognition. Before speaking about yourself, this form of communication acknowledges the relationship. Instead of defensive or abrupt statements, the boundary begins with presence. For example, I understand how important this is to you, and at the same time I realize that right now I can't be present in the way this requires. Notice what happens here. You don't invalidate the other person, but you don't invalidate yourself either. You acknowledge the other person's need, and you acknowledge your own limit, without over-explaining and without feeling guilty for it. This works because in the brain, initial recognition reduces activation of the amygdala, the area linked to fear and threat. The other person's body doesn't go into defense, and your body doesn't go into self-abandonment. Gradually, the nervous system learns something new. I can respect myself without breaking connection. This isn't coldness, it's emotional maturity. And when this skill begins to stabilize, the next step emerges. Technique 2. Boundary with real availability. Here, the boundary isn't rejection. It's honesty of presence. It's recognizing that being available only makes sense when it comes from the heart, not from obligation. For example, I want to be available for this, but I need to be honest. The way things are right now, I can't show up fully. Or in simpler situations, I'd rather say this truthfully now than promise something I won't be able to sustain later. This way of communicating changes everything. Psychologically, it reduces anticipatory guilt, avoids empty promises, and preserves emotional energy. Neurologically, it teaches predictability, and predictability creates safety. And when the body feels safe, the fear of rejection decreases. Gradually, the body learns, I don't have to force myself in order to belong. And that transforms not just the way you speak, but the way you relate. The principle behind all of this. None of these techniques exist to convince the other person. They exist so you don't betray yourself. And this is completely aligned with how Jesus lived. Jesus was never available out of obligation. He was available when there was inner truth. Where there was pressure, he withdrew. Where there was meaning, he remained. Not out of hardness, but out of clarity. And maybe that's what's missing today. Not more effort to please, but the courage to be whole. Because boundaries don't push away those who love you. They simply reveal those who benefited from your silence. And when the body understands that, something finally comes to rest inside. Clarity doesn't appear in a single moment. It's built through repetition. Small truthful no's, small conscious yeses. The brain learns it's safe to be whole. Mature spirituality is internal predictability. Maybe what hurts isn't setting boundaries. It's realizing how many times you put yourself last. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human, in a process of integration. A simple prayer as internal reorganization. Teach my body to trust when I am truthful. Let my yes be whole and my no be peaceful. Neuroscientifically, repetition creates predictability. Predictability creates safety. Safety allows clarity. This isn't blind faith. It's trained awareness. That may be enough for today.